All right, trade recap for a gold long. We have finally missed on a gold long. Now honestly, this trade, I kind of didn't even want to take it because I felt it was obvious that it was like lower probability than the others. But the model's the model, and sometimes that's just what it's gonna have to be. I don't know what. That's the old stop loss alert. Try and delete that. No, it's not gonna load. All right. Anyway, um, yeah. So we had this uh, bullish setup here. Anyway, let's go through it, right? Let me just take this off for now. So going into last week, which is when this trade was taken, we had started the week with this was Friday's candle from the week before that. We were in this daily gap and we were expecting a continuation higher, which we got. Now there was no setup in this, which was unfortunate because that was like kind of what we were looking for, preferably. And then after we took the external, I was basically thinking, all right, let's wait for some more displacement higher because judging how gold has been moving, right, that would be what was expected. But we ended up getting this huge sell-off here on the Tuesday. I mean, this is like 7% on gold, just schmacked. And then Wednesday, we wicked down even lower into this daily gap, right, digging all the way into it. And this bullish order block here. And we had SMT with silver, right? And this was previous week's low, Monday, October 13th, right? We can see here, and then silver puts in a lower low. Then we drop down to the hourly. Nope. Let me see if we can. There we go. And this obviously doesn't look like much, but if I replay this to here, that is a hourly order block and breaker and stuff that really catches the eye, right? Anyway, so we had our high time frame key level that we hit, right? That daily gap down here had not been hit before, so it was still open and it was still valid as a key level. So we dropped down into deep discount while we're super bullish. We hit a daily bullish fair value gap, a daily bullish order block. We have weekly consecutive candle SMT with silver. And then we have this really clean order block form. You know, like it's almost a no-brainer. Now, obviously with the context of that huge sell-off and just the way that we like have been trading and we stopped trading like that, right? Because in order for us to continue the bullish trend, quote unquote, we would have just continued higher here. So like in context of that not happening, this maybe isn't like the cleanest of setups, but like it's valid, it's the model, and when a valid setup for the model pops, I take it, right? And a loss is a loss, and a win is a win. So, and we've had a lot of wins on gold. Let's be honest, bro. Gold's kind of been carrying right now. Anyway, so it fills, and then we almost instantly hit stop, but we don't. We come back to break even, and then we go slightly in profit, and then we come back down, and we and then finally this week, it puts me out of my misery, so to speak. Because yeah, that's kind of what was that. I mean, we chopped a long time here, but anyway. Now one thing that I could have done better in this trade was when we were here, right? This is the daily bearish gap that we saw earlier, right? Here. So we didn't reach that on gold, but earlier when I dropped to silver to show this SMT, we can see that silver also has that bearish daily gap that it tagged. So that's daily SMT. Now the issue with this was one simple thing, which was even if I had like played this perfectly to where, you know, we hit that gap with SMT, and then look here, we have our order block right here, and we close below that at 1500, so 3 p.m. And then we tag it here on Thursday's open, right, in Asia. The issue with this is on the MetaTrader feed that I have on my prop, this never tagged, so I wouldn't even have gotten in. But a way I could have kind of got out of that gold trade, because the only way I can, once a valid setup is printed, the only way I can exit it early is if the same market, which in this case silver and gold kind of count as the same market since they're like the correlated pair that I use for SMTs with each other. So yeah, the only way I can get out of that setup is if the same market or like the correlated asset, if they have like an opposing setup that is also valid. And then it comes to the point where I can be discretionary about what I'm doing and say like, okay, based on all the time frames, based on seasonal tendencies, what do I think is more likely? Maybe even gut feeling, to be fair. And in this case, I think it was silver. But yeah, I didn't really. I don't know. I didn't think to. Well, I decided not to, but I could have. I could have very much made the decision to say, all right, here at 1500, right, silver printed a valid bearish thingy. Gold here at 1500 is around break even, right? Like it closes just below the order block here on this candle. So with that, I could say, all right, I take my break even on gold. That's perfectly fine. And I take my short on silver, or I set my limit on silver. Now, in reality, it wouldn't have gotten filled, right? Since, as I mentioned, MetaTrader never retraced to where that order block was. So I would have never got filled, but I would have avoided the gold loss in a way, right? And obviously on paper, this plays out very nicely right away. Essentially, it just runs to 2R pretty quickly here. But as I said, like I wouldn't have actually got into it, but you know, it would have been a valid thing to do. But that's like, I guess, neither here nor there at this point. Anyway, yeah, we've now finally retraced to a weekly gap on gold, so we'll see what we do there. I mean, yeah, gold needed some retracement, like let's be real. So, you know, not too unexpected here, to be fair. Anyway, that's the trade recap, and yeah, peace out, Girl Scout.